Now back to the show. This is The Law Show on CL 650.
Yeah, that is Prince, Purple Rain, and it's timely that we're talking about estate law with John Lakes and Emmanuel Fung from LakesWhyteLLP in North Vancouver. And really, the reason we're bringing up Prince in this situation, because he isn't a resident of British Columbia, or wasn't, is just the pitfalls that you can have out there if you don't have a will. And that's the case with Prince. And we kind of talked through in the last segment about how it could go in many different directions. So when someone passes away, say my brother or sister passes away and I'm the executor, and I try to do this probate on my own versus hiring somebody, an expert like yourself, what can and can't go wrong if I try to do it on my own versus having somebody with many years of experience?
Well, first of all, you can get all the forms online, and you can try to do it yourself, and you can work with the court registry and the Vancouver registry, and you may take 3 or 4 times till you get it right. The advantage, but it may cause some delay. It takes a lot of time out of your hands. In a lot of cases, what we'll do, because we do it all the time, and we deal with probate quite a bit, and we don't usually the Vancouver registry, they're too slow. We use another registry, which I'm not going to tell you because we don't want to clog it up, but we feel fairly confident that if we get a probate application, we can usually, unless there's a complication, get it through within 2 months, which means you can then, because until you have letters probate, you can't do anything. So
that's basically the government saying it's okay to move forward.
You now got legal authority, so it's like getting to first base.
Right.
And a lot of files after that, once they get probate, we are not that much involved. If, let's say it's 2 brothers and a sister and they all get along, we might assist them with selling their house, their mother's house, recommend they see an accountant. But so probably for the time it would take, because of course people are busy people, and if you're an engineer or something and you've taken 6 times off work to do all these things, it's probably much more efficient. It's like I don't fix my plumbing either, so
you don't drill your own teeth?
No. So
you get the dentist to do it?
That's right. So it depends on how valuable your time is, because it's not that expensive to have somebody doing it properly, just to get the probate for you.
So can you give us sort of an estimate?
I'm sure reluctant, because every estate is
unique.
I mean, it's sometimes, poor old Manuel, being a new lawyer here, he's got some very complicated estates that are relatively small. So sometimes the small estates are the most complicated too. So, but it's reasonable, and a lawyer will give you a time estimation once they know the facts. Because until a family's like an onion. Until you peel all the layers off, you don't know what you're really dealing with.
So can you give us some timelines here? Like, what's the 21-day notice?
So when you come to the lawyer's office, the lawyer's going to get a bunch of information from you. And one of the things that we need to send out this letter to a bunch of people mandated by law. And this letter contains information about how these people can make a claim against the estate. And so there's a list of people in the law that we have to send this notice to.
The will.
And it includes the will. The will is sent along with this notice. And after we sent out this notice, the law says that we have to wait 21 days in which we can't do anything. And it's only after those 21 days pass that we're able to apply for probate. So the process is usually we get some information, we send out these notices along with the will if there's a will.
So that's anybody that could be entitled to something from this estate?
Yes, so people with a potential claim in variation, or people who are named in the will, or alternative executors are essentially it. And then we wait 21 days. And then afterwards...
And what would typically happen in that 21 days? They contact you, or...
Well, it may be, let's say if somebody thinks their mother was not competent when they did the last will, maybe the mother had 5 wills before that will, they might put a challenge in, which then freezes the whole process until the courts determine whether that's a valid will or not. The problem is sometimes people get copies of wills that, you may not want them to get it, but they may do that. So, and then there's the issues if you can't find people.
So is 21 days typically, do you think that's enough? Is that just the
Well,
what you're dealing with?
that's the statutory rule that we
Yeah.
have to follow. And if you're trying to get probate as quickly as possible, then you just at the end of the 21 days you apply for probate, and during that time we collect information. But as John said, sometimes we can't find these individuals to send the notice to.
So does that 21 days become extended?
Well, you either have to go to court to waive them. So, for example, let's say you've got somebody with a perfectly good will, and sometimes I'll do my wills. I'll put somebody say, I don't know who my blood relative is. I did one recently for a woman who, she was a widow, no kids. Her sister died, her niece died, and we just put a provision in the will saying, I don't know who my closest blood relative is. 'Cause sometimes these people get notices from their cousin, and they're not named in the will, but they say, why do we get that? And that's what the law says. So there are provisions, and sometimes it's with people who are sort of immigrant status, who've sort of left their old country. The political boundaries have changed. I mean, a lot of that was in Europe after World War II. So you just can't find people, or else Emmanuel's got one that we've had to hire somebody in Germany.
So what happens when you, we've got a couple of minutes left, when you can't find somebody? They might be out there and they might have a claim, but you just can't find them. Do you move forward, or do you put something aside if they come forward?
So what you've got to do is you've got to, first of all, you have to let the court know that you've made efforts to find these people, and the court can actually say, okay, you don't have to give notice to these individuals, and that should be enough. But what do you do? Say you get to the end of the estate, and there's potentially people out there, and you don't know about them. Well, at that point, the executor can take the risk and say, they're satisfied, there's no one out there, or they can hold on and wait until the period for making claims has ended, and then make a distribution from there on. So, but no matter what, it causes problems if you don't know who everyone is.
So the overarching theme of today's show, especially with Prince and this huge sum of money that he has made through his career, doesn't matter whether it's a guy like him or just a regular family, you need to have a will. This is just crazy to impose this on people who are left behind.
You need a current will as well. I mean, a will that's 20 years old may be totally out of date too. So,
and you have to fight through that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, it's been an interesting conversation, and we got to play Prince on the show, so that's the upside. We got Raspberry Beret and Purple Rain in there. My guests have been John Lakes and Emmanuel Fung from LakesWhyteLLP in North Vancouver, and you're on Marine Drive, right?
Yes.
Just east of Cat Mall?
Yes.
And lots of free parking.
Tons of free parking.
I love that.
Underground free parking.
Oh, nice. Stay out of the rain. It's been great having you on the show. I'm Zach Spencer. Hopefully you learned something today. I'm sure you did. I did. So I'm sure you did as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming in. And we'll speak to you next time right here on CL 650.